Hey guys, welcome back to the movie summary. Beginning of the movie, we see a man named Dante. He brought his wife Feli to the hospital. Feli's cancer is actually in the last stage. She is going to die in a few days. Dante had two sons. Their names are Rolando and Conrado. Rolando cries because of what happened to his mother. After a while they bring Feli home. We see Conrado's girlfriend Sol near the house. She stays with them. Rolando serves his mother. He loves his mother very much. Later everyone will have dinner together. Then Dante tells them that all the money I had spent for hospital expenses. Besides, our rice mill production has also reduced. So you should all cut costs. Dante also tells them that I have hired a nurse to take care of Feli. Because my wife should not have trouble in her last days. Dante's decision is not good for them. Because Sol and Rolando are taking care of Feli. They remain silent, unable to say anything to Dante. Later Sol and Conrado are talking. Conrado wanted to do the job. For that he took the help of an agency. But his agent cheated Conrado. So all his money was wasted. Since then Dante is angry with Conrado. Next day Dante brings a nurse named Alice. She is very beautiful. Sol tells Conrado and Rolando that Alice is very beautiful. Rolando wants to date her. Just then Dante comes there. Rolando asks Dante if Alice has a boyfriend. Dante gets angry after hearing this. So he scolds Rolando. Then Rolando leaves. Dante then approaches Sinan as his business partner. He also has a share in rice mill. In the evening Sol, Conrado and Rolando come home. Rolando gets very attracted when he sees Alice. Dante tells them that I have hired this girl as a nurse. He then goes to drop Alice at home. Actually Dante has an affair with Alice. That's why he invited Alice to his house as a nurse. Because his plan is that when Feli dies, he can marry Alice. Dante has no feelings for Feli now. He is waiting for her death. That night Feli tells Dante that if I die, find a good girl and marry her. Dante is silent after hearing her words. Before actually saying Feli, Dante already decided to marry Alice. Midnight Feli dies in sleep. Feli's funeral is held. Then Rolando cries a lot. The next day John asks Dante for money to buy groceries. Dante gives her money and tells her to spend it carefully. Sol says to Conrado that she will do the job as there is less money at home. Conrado doesn't agree to that. Because if Sol goes to work, there is no one to do chores at home. They come to Knight's house and find that someone has prepared dinner. They ask Dante what all this is about. Then he tells them that Alice made this food. Also says she will be with us from now on. Hearing this they understand that there is an affair between Dante and Alice. Conrado doesn't really like the affair between them. Because he was afraid that if village people knew about Dante and Alice's relationship, their reputation would be lost. Sol has no problem with Alice. Because she thinks she can go for a job if Alice takes care of the housework. Rolando is in the kitchen at night. Just then Alice comes into the kitchen to drink water. Then Rolando gives her the water and he stares her. Next day Dante goes to work. Rolando then takes Alice's undergarments and imagines her. He finds Dante's gun. Just then he hears Alice coming. Immediately he leaves the gun and her belongings there and slowly goes out. Then she comes into the room. She takes a towel and goes to the bathroom to take a bath. Rolando watches Alice through the gap because the bathroom door is not fixed. Alice does not know that he is watching her. Later they all have lunch together. Conrado doesn't like the food made by Alice. So he goes away without eating. Actually Conrado doesn't like Alice. Sol tells Dante that I got a job as a sales lady in a mall. I want to do that job. Dante gets angry after hearing this. He says, Alice is going to the hospital from next week. If you and Alice go to work, who will do the work at home? So you have to stay in home, he says. Sol is very sad to hear his words. At night Alice massages Dante's feet. Just then Conrado comes home. He drank well. Then Dante says to Conrado that your mother died not even a few days, why are you behaving like this? Then Conrado says, your wife died not even a few days, then why are you enjoying with Alice? Dante gets very angry after hearing this. Later they both fight. Dante tells Conrado that he loves Alice and is going to marry her. Next day Sinan brings a Chinese businessman to Dante to sell the rice mill. The businessman is giving very little money to buy the mill. Therefore Dante does not sell his rice to him. Conrado friend tells him that Alice is Dante friend's daughter. Your father has taken care of Alice since her mother died. He also says that they are in a relationship since 2 years. Conrado will be shocked to hear this. He then tells this to Rolando. They think Alice might have murdered Faylie to get into this house. Then they make a plan. They both have to make her love them together. Then Dante gets angry and leaves her. Then Rolando goes and touches Alice. Then Alice angrily pushes him aside. That night, Rolando and Conrado are talking about what to do next. Then Alice hears all their words. Next day Sol leaves for job. Dante says don't go to job. However, Sol ignores his words and goes to the job. Dante sells his car because he needs money. He then takes Conrado's vehicle and leaves. Then Conrado gets very angry. Conrado comes home on a bicycle. Then Alice will be alone in the house. He wants to spend private time with Alice. At first Alice stops him. After a while she says nothing to him. Later they both go into the room and make private time together. After a while Rolando comes home. Then he sees Conrado and Alice's situation. He understands that they both spent private time. Then he gets angry and beats Conrado. Because Rolando likes Alice. Conrado holds Rolando and says whatever you couldn't do, I did it. In the evening Sol comes home. At the same time Alice goes to work. Dante sits and drinks. While Sol is in the kitchen, drunk Dante tries spend private time with Sol. Just then Rolando comes there and stops Dante. Then Dante says sorry to Sol for doing this while drunk. Rolando requests Sol not to tell Conrado about this. Sol says okay to that. Next day a man comes to buy Dante's farm. Dante doesn't sell his farm as he is paying less. That night, Conrado goes to Alice's room to spend private time with her. Rolando then tells this to Dante. Immediately Dante comes home and catches Conrado and Alice red-handed. He beats Alice. Later Dante and Conrado will fight. At the same time Sol also comes home from her job. Dante angrily brings out his gun and shoots Conrado dead. Seeing this, Sol can't stand it and attacks Dante with a knife. Therefore Dante also dies. In the next scene we see Rolando selling his mill. Now we will see the main twist of the movie. Actually Rolando and Alice are in a relationship since many days. Everything that has happened in this movie so far has happened according to their plan. Dante and Conrado's death also happened as part of their plan. Because Rolando wants to own all his father's property. Now Dante and Conrado are dead. Sol went to jail for murder. Therefore Dante's entire property goes to Rolando. He sells all his property. Then Rolando will get a lot of money. Later Alice and Rolando decide to get married. This is how this movie ends. I'm working hard to make these videos, it's my humble request to subscribe my channel.